Hello, everybody, and welcome on into Streaming Rainbow. Welcome specifically to our Pride stream, aka the roles we play. Today's a little bit different than your typical Kanto. Instead, we're going to be doing a panel discussion on identity in role-playing games, and specifically exploring identity in role-playing games. My name is Bastion, my pronouns are he, him, and I am here to serve as the token cishet white guy and audience surrogate. But I have had the pleasure of being a part of Mad's transition through role-playing. So if you've seen any of my recorded content, you'll know Mad's. And the game that we were in, that I was running, was a huge part of their transition journey, which is a big part of what sparked my interest in emceeing this panel. Unfortunately, they're actively right now at a wedding reception and therefore unable to make this panel, which was a huge bummer. But we have an audience, or an excellent cast for our discussion today, and I'm super excited. That's the stream. I would love to kick off with some introductions, so I'm gonna popcorn over to Eli. Tell us a little bit about you.
Hey everybody, I'm Eli. My pronouns are they, them. And you guys have seen a lot of me in the last few months, being the runner and the guide on Inferno, which is Streaming Rainbow's Guide to Hell. So hello, I'm back. And I'm not in charge this time, which makes me so happy. I get to just sit here and chat with my friends. And you all have actually gotten to be in the audience watching me as I figure out my transition time, and I'm really excited to talk about it and go into it more. So I'm going to pass it along to I can't choose. You both are so good. So I'm going to save the absolute best for last, and I'm tossing it to Mags. I love you, Mags, but we all know Sarah's the best of us.
Oh, clearly. Hi, my name's Mags. I use they, them pronouns, and you've seen my face probably too much on this channel. Most notably, I play Elliot Fowler on SS Sophia. I've been Bryce Turner on Best Last Summer. I was Des Embergust on fucking Astral and Farm. And like Eli, you guys have kind of been seeing my egg cracking and my whole journey through gender and identity while playing these games with you guys. Fuck, I forgot I was also a Kanto 1 saint. That's also another thing. I can't forget that. My baby. Yeah, and I'm gonna pass it up to Sarah now.
Hello, I am Serafina Smith. My pronouns are she, her. And you have not gotten to see my transition journey because I am too old, and it happened long before, I became a streamer or anything like that. But I am happy to be here talking about the explorations that I've done. You've seen me in such shows as Harley's Children, because that's mine and I do it a lot. And I've been a player here and there too, so you know me, I know you. We know each other, it's all good.
Yeah. Fun fact for the stream, I don't think I've even shared this with Streaming Rainbow, but Sarah was the first trans person I ever met. And I met her coming out of young conservative Texas high school, and she has been an incredible gift in my understanding of being trans and that experience. So very much treasure our friendship. I want to kick us off with a softball question here, which doesn't have to do with identity at all, but just straight up role playing. What was y'all's introduction to role playing, and when was it?
Is it the good introduction or the bad introduction? 'Cause I've got both.
Well, elaborate. What are
Okay, so the almost death of before I could even have a chance to get into TTRPGs. Many moons ago, actually probably about a decade ago now, I was dating somebody, and they were a big old gamer and had a long-standing Vampire the Masquerade game, and I came down to visit this person, and I got to sit in a different room and listen to a table of people play Vampire the Masquerade. Everybody was great, with the exception of the person that I stopped dating pretty soon after this situation. For more other reasons than that. But they also, yeah, they were one of those gamers, if you know, you know, who they kept saying, you know, before I was a vampire, I was a Roman gladiator, and I'm not nice, guys. And I would say, hey, did you know that your character was a Roman gladiator? And I kept saying it for weeks after this whole situation happened. And
so funny though.
Yeah,
That's so
and
fucking funny.
So I have friends now, Riv, hey, who love Vampire the Masquerade, and what I'm sure would do great.
Word for River's like
Yeah,
obsession with vampires.
that's a whole other stream to talk about River and,
Really?
and their obsession with Vampire the Masquerade and Werewolf. We can't. There's no time. But yeah, only they could convince me, lure me back into potentially playing a Vampire the Masquerade game. The thing that saved it, I think, a big shout out to our Lord and Savior Brennan Lee Mulligan. No, I watched Fantasy High from Dimension 20, and I remember watching it going, oh, this is just rad. I used to have a long-standing text role-playing thing that I would do with my best friend. We just called it like hanging out. So it was proto TTRPG because there were no rules. We just hung out and talked and role played. So I watched that and went, oh, it's like what I've done with my friend for 5 years, but with stakes. And also you can be as nerdy as you want, and it's lovely and so fun. And from that moment I said, oh, I could actually do this. And thus an obsession was born, and here we go. So the good and the bad. Brennan Lee Mulligan saved it. So, yeah. Next.
Do you want to go, Sarah?
Fight for it.
Don't make
Sarah's
me fight.
Pointing at...
I'm too polite for this.
Sarah's pointing at you. Go.
I'll go. So I actually don't know if I've talked about this to even like you guys in passing. I didn't pick up a set of dice until November of 2020. I want to say 2022. Yeah, that was the first time I ever played like D&D. It was with Cam Koshkum as my DM, still my ongoing DM, one of my favorite home games I've ever played in. But like to like rewind a little bit, I did have like a desire to want to pick it up like years and years and years before, but since I grew up just a white girl in the middle of South Jersey nowhere, like not like I was just like, oh, there like people kept saying like, you're not gonna enjoy this, this isn't for you. And it was just like years of that, and doing like I went to art summer camps and I did like improv and all that kind of stuff, and it wasn't really until like that summer before I started playing D&D that I also Fantasy High freshman year was my first ever like true introduction to this, and I fell in love with it. And it wasn't until I got like midway through Unsleeping City, I was like, I want to do this. I want to do this so bad. Like, even if it's just like with my friends, like for funsies, I want to do this. So I just like shot a text into my group chat, and I was just like, hey, I don't know if any of you guys are fucking interested in doing this. Let's fucking do it. And look at me now. I'm a semi-niche celebrity on the internet, just out here playing make-believe for clout.
Oh yeah.
It's a dream.
the way it should be. For me, I first picked up the Dungeons and Dragons basic set. It was a red box set when I was 8, which was a long time ago. And I got really into it. I was very fond of it. I was playing with my best friend in school. We weren't playing in school; we were playing out of school. But and then it just sort of got dropped until I hit high school and started having friends again. Because I didn't really have friends in middle school. And then we started to play all sorts of different games. We played a lot of Shadowrun, just so many D6s. It was ridiculous. And it was still, it was a love, but it was an occasional love until my late teens, at which point I became the perma DM. I had never GM'd a game before, but nobody else wanted to do it. So I became our World of Darkness GM and started a campaign that lasted for many, many years with that. And that's when I really became a TTRPG nerd, when I started GMing, because that was when it really hit for me. And that's my story.
Nice. Yeah. So, increasing the heat here on the questions a little bit, but not too much. Do y'all have a particular moment or character that helped you realize something about your gender identity?
We all know mine, but Max, you go first.
So, and I like had a conversation with this with my coworker earlier today, because I was like trying to like reflect on this, so I came prepared. But like, so I started playing TTRPGs, and at that point I started identifying as like she, they, and that really should have been the first indicator that something was going wrong. Not wrong, but like something was wrong. And it really wasn't until like the slow snowball of like I started like leaning into more like masculine characters and stuff like that, that like eventually like in 2023, that's when I started using like they, she, and then towards the end of it, like they, them. And it really wasn't until like streaming that I was just like, yeah, this is it. Like I basically like self-discovered. I was like, I really think it started with Dez in Astral Ant Farm. I think that was like the slow snowball, and I was just like, yeah, this is it. But it really didn't hit me all at once until this time last year we started recording SS Sophia, and the first time ever I had dressed up to participate in a TTRPG, and I was very nervous about it. I was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna wear, especially for 1922 on a boat in the Pacific. I was just like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. But every session where I like put on that dumb little vest and that dumb little bandana, I was just like, okay, like I feel like myself, even though I'm like actively like portraying and being somebody else. And it really wasn't until like midway through last summer and like going through all of it where I was just, like, it finally like hit me, and like I was really starting to like click into like my identity in being trans non-binary and all of that. So like Elliot Fowler truly unlocked something within me, and like that whole campaign, like not even just on a gender level, but like on like a like mental level and emotional level, like going through that journey, like really just did something and like clicked a lot of like things that just really like haven't like been meshing together for a bit, and it was just truly like one of the most euphoric like experiences I could have ever asked for. And getting to do it with David Robles at the helm was just truly like, I think, one of the best experiences I've had so far.
Do I get to talk about my baby now?
Eat a time.
Eat a time. Silly me, not blind silly me, walking into a Canaan event, apparently. So our first ever campaign for this channel, as most of you, hopefully everyone knows, is Hallie's Children. Go check it out. Check out the playlist on our YouTube channel. It's so good. I'm so proud of it. And Sarah's such an amazing game master on that. Sarah said, hey, what kind of character does everyone want to make? And I was like, you know what would be really cool? Just this little white girl from 1066 in England who can be a shapeshifter. I don't know what that's about. Okay. I was that TikTok of we can't stop it, it's a canon event. Because I became the new trans baby who played a shapeshifter. So didn't really think much of it. I found it really intriguing and all that. And then, oh gosh, was it Belgrade when I had I think it was the very last session of the second campaign, Belgrade, where we had years, had many hundreds of years had passed. And my character is sitting here watching all of their cishet, well, I don't know about Anoush. None of us know about Anoush. We love you, Cam, but none of us understand Anoush. But watching these people who were all kind of moving on with their lives, and like, it's on camera me having an emotional breakdown. I had people messaging me in the background being like, are you okay? And I was like, I'm not okay. And it was really hitting that feeling of realization at, oh, I'm not the, again, as Mag said, not what was wrong with me, but what was different. And it was like, it was like straight through. It went straight through Ida, right into Eli. So here we go. And obviously it was not something that was like, I had no idea about. I had been questioning about some things even in my 20s, and I'm turning 40 in a few weeks. So, there are many things that have popped up over the past year or so that I've been like, look at those. Look at those. Not red flags, notifications.
What's that about?
What's that
notifications?
About? Look at that. Let me just swipe up that notification. I'm just gonna ignore that. That's normal. But no, Ida 100% was a big catalyst and a big light, a big spotlight on this part of my brain that I was ignoring and denying for a very long time. So I love my baby, my little shapeshifter baby. So that was mine.
Yeah. So for me, I, as I said, got into being the Eternal GM for my friend group. We were playing World of Darkness, and so I started getting some sort of long-term companion NPCs, and they just happened to be girls, no reason. And it's interesting because I went into it, of course, not intending to explore anything at all, just trying to make cool characters for my friends to play with. But then as time went on and the games went on, and I grew so attached to a couple of the NPCs that I had made, two of them, that it really started to feel like I was being myself when I was being them. And of course, what I didn't realize at this time was I was, using them to examine femininity and gender and the way that I could express that. But that didn't realize that for a long time, because I was in a long-term period in my late teens of crack open that closet door just a little, just enough to peek out, and then slam it back and lock it for another, year or two, whatever. So yeah, it was. Their names were Jody and Kate, and they were like these. Because I love them so much, they became these OP things that were a huge part of the plot. And it's funny because like later on, I started expressing their personalities in my own personality, and I was like, oh. And that got complicated real fast because when you're playing a role and it turns into you, that can really mess with your life, just as it happens. So that's my story.
Character bleed's a real thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think this transitions pretty nicely to a couple questions that M has. So, Sarah, you talked about kind of the GMing side of things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious, Eli, if the question from M is, I'm curious if GMing, taking on the role of many characters, shaping a story, etc., has influenced the way that you understand your identity.
Hey, shout out to M, by the way. You can catch them in 2 weeks and they're going to be our guest GM for that Pride stream.
Mm-hmm.
We love M at Streaming Rainbow. I think that unconsciously it has, because I've been, like I said, when in like late high school through my early 20s, I was doing that. Like that text RPG with my friend, and we played all the roles and we did all these things and had romances and we were guys, girls, we were everything. So when I came into GMing, I didn't really think about it because it was just more of that. It's like, well, yeah, I got to play all the people. I think that because before Streaming Rainbow, I was also a forever GM because everyone was like, I'm scared to do that. So I had to do it all to be able to play this fun game. But I think like Sarah said, it was a really good opportunity to look at the kind of guy, the kind of person I liked, didn't like, would want to emulate, like like shining light on like the toxic masculinity things that are out there that unfortunately I see a not insignificant part of the trans mask community falling into. It's like, oh, to be a man I have to be also a dick. It's like, no, actually you can be good masculine. That's a thing you can be. So it was really I almost think that it helped me be a good GM because it's like I have it in my brain to be like, oh yeah, I can do all these different things because I can get in the mindset of all kinds of different identities because my brain is already there. So I think chicken egg a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'd love to have Mags kick us off for this next question from M, which is, how do you feel the community aspect of role-playing games influenced your journey? Exploring identity on your own is very different from doing it alongside friends or sometimes strangers.
A lot of this is going to be SS Sophia talk for me because I had trans friends in like high school and college, and I've like talked with them and bonded community over them, but that was like at a point in my life where like I was not really questioning anything. It really wasn't until like my mid-late 20s that I was like actually taking like stock and like doing introspection about like who I am and like how I like see myself and how I like vision myself. So I want to give direct shout out to Riv, and Julia for truly being like some of the best and like the first like real like non-binary community that I've had for like a while. And I'm even gonna like lump in Cam in this because Cam and I had had simultaneous little like small gender crises last summer, and like truly just like getting the bond with all of them and getting their own unique takes on like gender identity and everything in between, like that was really like what got me doing like a lot of thinking about how I envision like how I use identity and gender to see myself on a day-to-day basis. So like at that point it was really like me looking at myself and being like, okay, like mixing and matching. Like there was a point where I was like, well, any all kind of work, and then it was just like, well, like I don't really resonate with like she her as much as like I like flip-flop on that a little bit where like sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But like getting to like play with all these people, getting to like switch out different characters and all of that has really helped me like firm my ground in how like using TTRPGs has been like some of the best like discovery for like who I am and my gender fluidity, and kind of getting that reassurance that like gender doesn't have a set like black and white binary look. Like it doesn't have to be XYZ, it can be like whatever the fuck you want it to be. And that's truly why I have fallen head over heels with TTRPGs, because I can be anyone, anytime, any fucking where.
Yeah. I don't know. Go ahead. Anybody? Sarah? Who? What? More community? I can talk about it because it's definitely I am about, I think we've just got like, we haven't discovered it, but like I'm a decade older than Mags is. So growing up, being in school, in like middle school, high school in the 90s, early 2000s, didn't lend itself to a whole lot of community, especially in the Midwest. It didn't really lend itself to discovery of gender. It wasn't being like gay was avant-garde when I was in high school, and so that was a whole thing. But so then moving forward, being in this community specifically, around people who are using games to play around and like test things out, and being in a community full of younger people who have grown up with the knowledge that questioning is normal. Like that it's like, hey, having the conversations out loud is so normalized for all of these younger people who I'm surrounded by all the time, which is so fucking cool. Like it is so good. It is also really helpful because I also shout out to Sarah. Sarah is the first openly trans person that I have been close with. And knowing that there's somebody in my life, when I first came out, the first person I talked to in this community was Sarah. I said, help me. I'm so lost. So there is somebody that I go to say, I'm like, to have somebody to talk to about what I'm going through and like commiserate and just have that sister in arms and having that situation. And it's so that is huge, and just having the open communication, but having people talk about and having people be like, yeah, I'm gender fluid, I'm this today, I'm that today, my name is this today, my name is that today. That is so foreign to my generation. Like it's like we keep it to ourselves. Like it's fine. Like until I know for sure, I'm not going to say anything out loud, because and maybe there's some good and bad in that. Who knows? But the big thing is that I hear people talking about everything and what they're going through and being so open about that, and I go, oh, that's not a shared experience that every human feels. You don't have a day where you go, I don't don't think this fits. I don't think this is right. Because that was 100% my 20s. I'd be like, I'd have a thought and be like, that's normal. Turns out, guys, it wasn't normal. Turns out I was trans the whole time. So yeah. So I think this community and this younger community, and it's one of the best things about the generations coming up right now is the openness. I think that's been a huge help. And getting to say, okay, hey guy, I knowing that I'm with a group of people that I can say I can be femme, I can be a girl in one thing, and I can be Fred. Shout out to Abandon. I can be a dude in the next one.
Abandoned coded as fuck.
Abandoned coded as fuck. But like, without judgment, without concern of that. Like, no one's going to be coming to me and be like, well, why are you playing a dude? Weird. Because yeah, it's a safe place. Now, I want everyone to have that same safe place in TTRPGs, and we're not there yet. But I think we will be. I think as more of us take over the TTRPG space, we're going to get all the assholes out. So, yeah. But community's been amazing. I think that's a huge thing.
Absolutely. A lot of thoughts here as our token cishet white guy.
I love it.
I have never experienced any questioning from DMing and playing. Like, I play plenty of women. I play a woman in our upcoming show, Mythos of War, that is one of my favorite characters I've ever played, and is never even once triggered any sort of euphoria, dysphoria, confusion. So it is interesting what like we think of as normal, like the normal experience growing up, when we kind of like stuff down or like, oh, like this is just everyone experiences this, and delays that sort of full expression of ourselves. It's interesting to hear that perspective and where y'all are coming from. But the other thing that is not just my perspective here, so but for Streaming Rainbow, when we first came together and got serious, we did a target audience exercise and talked about what we really wanted Streaming Rainbow to be. And what came out of that was that we wanted Streaming Rainbow to be a community, that it wasn't about making the best tabletop like actual plays out there. It wasn't about high production value or pushing like the boundaries on what we can make or things like that. We still make incredible content, and I love what we've made, but the focus has always been on building a community, building a space. That's part of why we push the Discord so hard and try and get people in there. But the target audience exercise, we specifically want to make content and create a community for people who are in that 20 to 30 age bracket, who are LGBT plus and in places where they feel like they can't fully express themselves or find their own community yet, to be able to find this sort of safe place to be with other like-minded people and to explore it. And it's really beautiful to see that community coming together and bring in really awesome people like Mags and Mads and River and M and everyone, right? Yeah. Transitioning to our next question here. How has y'all's experience in gaming communities been as trans or non-binary people? What makes a table feel more safe and affirming versus less safe or affirming?
I've been spoiled. Because it's all been here. And I've had, our community, truly, get in the Discord, guys. It's so good.
Get in the fucking Discord.
We are, I knew that I was in a safe place. And I've been able to seek out and be very particular about what communities I join, and I know what questions to ask, and I know what places to go. Now, I am much less likely to go to my local game shop and be open, because again, I'm in Indiana. It's bad out here, guys. So I wouldn't trust that necessarily, and that's kind of scary. Like, there is safety behind a camera, so it's just knowing where to reach and knowing who to reach out to, and knowing that, yeah, if I meet somebody who gives me bad vibes, I can just block them. You know what I mean? Like, I can get away way easier than something actually physical and real. So yeah, I would love to hear what everyone else thinks.
I mean, my early experiences with TTRPG groups were just among my high school friends and such, and so it was comfortable in that sense, but I would not say it was comfortable enough for me to, or safe enough for me to come out. It's not until honestly the past few years that I found this community that I can feel safe to be myself in. That is so rare, guys. It's so rare, and it's such a big deal. So that's all I have to say.
Much like Eli, I have also been incredibly spoiled, because very rarely have I played in a setting where I haven't felt like completely safe. I will say, like, there's been like maybe two tables where like it wasn't like a safety thing, it was like a difference in game style thing, where I just like it didn't match, and that's fine. But like the only times where I have felt like othered or any-wise was like years before, like when I was a teenager trying to break into the space, and I had a lot of cishet white boys telling me, this isn't for you, you're not gonna like it, it's not meant for you. And like, look at me now, fucking assholes. You all wish you could be like me. So but like I have just been so fortunate and like really blessed to have found like a corner of the internet where I don't have to hide who I am. I don't have to feel like unsafe. Like even with like some strangers that I meet, like I'm just like as long as like there's some sort of like avenue where I know like it's like at least a slight majority queer, like I feel safe and comfortable being who I am. And that is truly like the biggest benefit to have been a part of Streaming Rainbow, to have met such fucking incredible people from all over the fucking place, to get to make these stories and have these very like nuanced, heavy, and emotionally charged stories, and still get to be like a fucking dickhead like on the side and make snide comments.
Yeah, absolutely. So next question here. Have y'all's transitions changed the kinds of characters you create or relate to now versus the types of characters you made pre-transition?
I have found myself making more guys, but I don't know that I don't know if it's attached to that the transition. I actually don't know. Like it's more about what gender I feel fits the character I want to play. So it's like, like I could have played a girl in Abandon, but I wanted to play Ewan McGregor in Moulin Rouge, and you kind of have to be just a dopey British guy to be that character. Like that's
Who
A British woman would never. So yeah, and then Inferno is no gender doesn't exist. So it's been very interesting to do that. But I do find myself leaning more towards actually really exploring more of the male. So yeah, I guess it probably has, or the non-binary.
You heard it here, folks. Gender is outlawed in hell.
Yeah.
No gender in hell. Maybe that's fine.
You gotta find yourself. No gender, all gay.
No gender, all gay. So, looking at it from like here to when I first started playing TTRPGs, I've noticed I've leaned into a type, and I've been slowly trying to break myself out of that type. Where it's either I've played big strong lady who will snap you like a fucking twig, or I've played cringe fail / femme guy who has an anxiety crisis.
Who just wants to get back to his dog.
Who just wants to get back to his fucking dog. And more recently have I been slowly breaking the stereotype. In Best Last Summer, I think that was Best Last Summer was the first time I've played a stereotypical guy. In my headcanon, I have talked about this with River, that I've only played canonically one actual straight character, and it's not Bryce Turner, because in my mind that boy experimented a little bit at LSU. That's just me. That's just my fantasy. But my first actual high femme character was Virginia Winsborough, and getting to do that and dress up in feminine high makeup for a stream was actually shockingly slightly euphoric, because I was just okay, I'm getting in character, this is a part, but I just getting into that outfit, that that whole aesthetic, it just really helps a little bit. But in some home games, in River's Vampire the Masquerade campaign, Amber Stokes, I'm playing an 18-year-old forever child who is navigating what it means to be a feminine person in these more masculine dominated areas, and getting to tackle some themes of my childhood as a 30-year-old person. And it's kind of it's been groundbreaking. It's been doing a lot for me. And soon I have two other home table characters that have been floating through my mind, and sooner or later I will finally be getting to play a changeling, and we're gonna see what that fucking does for me, gang. It's gonna do something with the chemical.
It's a canon event. It's gotta happen.
It's a canon fucking event. But that's taken 3 years too late. It should have happened sooner. I don't know why it hasn't.
Make their name really close to what your new name is going to be. Kisses. I made that realization this past.
Just make that realization now.
Having to edit Hallie's children Challenger and put Eli and Ida right next to each other for hours really shone a light on that.
Absolutely
iconic. I love it. But sort of also with what Eli said, a lot of the character choices I do make concerning identity, the first thing I really do when I create characters, I kind of think well, what do I want their arc to look like? And sort of think especially with Amber, I wanted Amber's story in the Vampire the Masquerade character to be a direct reflection and dissection on how the punk culture treats women, specifically younger women. And there's really there is a way I could have done it, playing playing a more masculine character, but the real way to have done it was to jump back into my 18-year-old skin and think to myself, how the fuck would I have acted in these situations? So like it's really like character art, like figuring out character story and themes is step 1. Step 2 is create a sim. Profit.
Yeah, I've GM'd a lot more than I've played in my life. So I just sort of got accustomed to playing anybody from that, but I do notice I've been thinking about this while you guys talked and trying to pinpoint a difference in what I play, and I do think I don't play boys much anymore. I do sometimes. Shout out to Cruntle.
No hands.
No hands.
Justice for Cruntle. Give him his fucking hands back.
That is truly the biggest crime David Robles has made on this channel, is taking away Cruntle's hands and then not giving us closure on that story.
Cruntle's ginger is cool. Yes. So I learned that if I was playing dudes, people would treat me like a dude, and so I had to stop that mostly. And it's only been in recent years that I've started just like, okay, maybe I'll play a boy in this and it'll be okay, because there's been a lot of misgendering in my life.
All right, I got one last question, and then we'll give ourselves a quick break to go get water and play some ads for our upcoming shows. This comes from Chaotic in the Discord. Is it common for games that exist outside of your identity to help you find your identity?
Yes. And I'll tell you why. Games, TTRPGs, which I assume is what we're talking about, are a tool made out of let's pretend. And because let's pretend is such a basic thing for us, it's what we do when we're kids, it's what we do a lot when we're adults, quite frankly. It's such a basic thing to us. It's so important to us as humans, as people, these stories that we can tell and these roles that we can play, that you don't have to have an identity to explore it, you know? I think cis people should be exploring their gender because it's great. You learn so much about yourself. And TTRPGs are the perfect tool for that because they are an exploratory tool about roles. And roles are what you find yourself having to fit into and to learn about and understand when you transition, but they're also just a part of our lives, whether we're trans or cis or whatever. And so I don't think that the game has to even relate to your current experience in order to give you that exploration. I think that all it has to do is be a way to play Let's Pretend.
Yeah. That's amazing. Like, that's 100%. I totally agree. And it's like, and it's kind of what you said, Sarah, like, it doesn't have to be about gender identity. It can just be about the roles. It's like, okay, so I'm a cis man, so therefore I make the money and I am the dad and I go do the thing and I am burr, burr, burr. It's like, okay, well, play a game where you're not. Play a game where you're the caretaker, where you're the one staying at home and like raising kids or doing whatever, or like just taking care of things. And it's that, like, what a cool way to explore breaking out of this systemic idea of how we're supposed to live our life and how we are supposed to be. It's like, hey, maybe I would be happier if I could Like maybe I want to be the one going out and doing things and being the go-getter and all of that. But maybe I do want to be at home and play Stardew Valley and like and like make my little garden and be a cat mom and whatever. Like there's a ton of different things you can find out about yourself that gender is just one of them. So I think that's amazing. Like, listen, I didn't mean to shout out Gabby. Sorry, Gabby in the chat. But like that's the thing. It's like you can really explore that.
Mm-hmm.
I can't really like hit home harder than what Sarah and Eli have both said. I will say that if I didn't get into TTRPGs when I did, I think I would I think I'd still be questioning a lot. I think there'd still be a part of me that still like genuinely like identifies as like feminine and still feeling like not like feeling like a stranger in my own body, like feels like the best like metaphor I can think of, but like not truly apt because like I've been more identifying more as gender fluid. But I would still like sit here be thinking like, okay, but like XYZ. But no, like TTRPGs have been the way for me to like try on like different masks, try on like different identities, try on different people, and and basically pick and choose, build my gender the way I want it to be.
I love that. All right, we're going to go ahead and give ourselves a 10-minute break. Before that, we have all of our shout-outs in the ads. Is there anything, Mags, that you would like to shout out?
Go watch Mythos of War when it comes out on Tuesday. Get in the Discord chat because I won't be able to watch it live with you fucking people. And also, watch and recap on Essa Sophia before you watch Mythos on Tuesday. It's pretty great. We're pretty good.
Yeah.
And also, I'm gonna drop Max's amazing link tree in the chat right now because they won't do it for themselves. So
yeah, go follow me on social media and feed my ego so I get confident enough for Lux to knock it down a few pegs again.
Exactly.
All right, everyone. We'll be back in about 10 minutes with some more hard-hitting questions. Keep turning up the heat just a little bit.
It's so toasty.
So toasty.
It's too hot
in here now.
All right, welcome back. I don't know about y'all. I don't drink water like a normal person. I take this thing and I fill it up and I just down the whole thing, and I do that like 3 or 4 times a day. And
Yeah.
But I like to have it when I'm streaming so I can like take sips and keep my like throat wet, which feels weird to say. But I absolutely autopiloted, filled this up, and just like chugged it the first time. And came back like, ah, crap, I totally failed the mission.
Yeah.
Break brain. All right. Y'all ready to get into some tougher questions?
Absolutely. Let's go.
Let's go.
Hit me.
How do you navigate characters or settings that don't affirm or recognize gender variance?
Who first?
I know we saw a little of that with SS Sophia and just the timeline for Elliot being gay.
So, like, this is a really tough one, Bastion.
It is.
Come back from break, just slaps you. There you
Yeah.
go.
Come back from 10 minutes of me just scrolling through Pinterest on my phone and then getting hit with existential, like, how do you deal with this? Who are you, my therapist? Sandy's not here. She can't hurt me.
That's why we're here. Go on.
Exactly. That's why I come here. Well, to be quite honest, Elliot's sexuality was not something that I actually considered when making him, and even when like playing him the first few sessions, if I'm being completely honest, and I don't think I even told David this, so if he sees this and hears this, surprise. During the session 0 for SS Sophia, Elliot got cornered by Alexander Montague and like saw him talking with his like daughter and everything, and me being the person I am, being like, oh, she could be my in. Let me try to finagle my way into it, and then River beat me to it, and I was just like, never mind. We gotta find a new avenue for this. And then, like, even like with like some other character choices, like Elliot just becoming like this like. Calling him a stereotype is very, very unfair to that skinny poor man. But like he just kind of became like, oh, twink, like, and so like having like I said, like it never, his sexuality was never something that like became even a topic in SS Sophia. So like now looking back at it and thinking like, oh, like, well, I've had like daydreams and stuff like, well, how would he have like gone through his life? How would a man like of this era like have navigated something like that really was never like public, you know? So for me, at least, like in historical senses, I like, and in the more like pressing and more serious APs, like romance and identity, like at least like physical and like gender wise, like that's always like kind of like a secondary thing for me. But like moving forward, like I would like to navigate that. Like I would love to navigate like how would like a woman, like say like a Tony, like Timeless Tony Storm AEW character, like in the, like a starlet in the 1940s, like how would she navigate something like having like a secret wife or a secret like girlfriend or something like that. So like now, like moving forward, like that's always something that I want to make like more prominent and like slowly like introduce more, because I feel like especially now more than ever, like upholding these like queer stories, no matter time or setting, should like it should be my mission.
Yeah, I think that's a really good way. That kind of is that's kind of bouncing off what I feel about it. I mean, there are some situations where it, not that it's like aggressively against it, but maybe there's not a place for it. Like, for example, the playground, when there's with the kids involved, not that like being trans is something that like young kids do know, and it's something that young kids have to deal with. But is it our place to put that into a setting where we're showing it? Like, is that something that we need to do? Now, maybe for a home game, like it really depends on kind of like going into it with eyes wide open. Like I said, for Playground, playing that with Bastion and Mads and David, like first off the bat, hey, these are kids. Romance is off the table. Like, we're not playing that. Like, even though like we were in, some of us, like by the end of it especially, we're playing like older kids where crushes and flirting are a thing, but also that setting doesn't lend itself for that. So that's one way of doing it, where it's like it's the tone. It's like, okay, what story are we trying to tell? Is there room for that narrative in that story? No? Cool. I'm fine. But the thing that I'm agreeing with Mags on is that queer stories have existed since the dawn of time. Like, as long as there's been people, there's been queer stories. And there's been things there have been stories that have been buried and silenced and kept hidden because of the society that they were entrenched in for whatever reason. And I think pushing the envelope and showing that is super important, because making it visible really puts it out there. And again, it's like, no, those two dudes weren't fucking roommates. Like, like, no, those two spinster women who just were always companions, and they were just always together and never needed they just couldn't get a husband. No one wanted them. No, they were great. They were perfectly happy.
And they were roommates.
Like, that's, or even there, I cannot remember the exact setting, but there was a whole, I believe it was a Viking burial, where they're like, obviously this is context clues. This is a man's body. And like, so it's a male warrior and all these things because of all the things buried with this body. Turns out, no, it was a woman. Like, there's assumptions that are made that like stories that could be told with that, even if it's set like historically, if the setting is like, well, this doesn't exist, like, but like, fine. But also, again, what type of story are you trying to tell? So Playground, no. Inferno, we do a lot of touching on all kinds of things, but the reality is, like, it's all theoretical and it's all out there, because the reality is that these semblances of humans, they have no idea what gender they are. They have no idea what race they are. They don't know anything about themselves except for what the bad thing they did. Like, that's all they know about in this world. So there's really no room for exploring that in too much depth, because it's all a big question mark. So mechanically, there's a few things that I'm like, it's fine. But I also, like, if it's not mechanical, I want to tell the story.
I tend to, I think, shy away from such topics as homophobia, transphobia, etc. in my work. I did put some homophobia into Lantern Cove, but that was all between NPCs. But like, you know, in Hallie's Children, no one's ever gone after Ida for being agender, or Loki for being gender fluid, or Pagan for being gay, or anything like that, because I don't know, I'm just not comfortable. And so I prefer to explore those things through allegory instead. And so, you know, not directly engage with the things that so distress me in real life, you know. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, totally reasonable.
Yeah.
Question for Sarah and Eli that's kind of building onto that. In your world building, how has being trans or non-binary affected how you like build and curate these worlds?
I mean, it gives you, like, I don't want to sound like egotistical, but it gives you a breadth of experience of gender roles and gender treatment that is more difficult for cis people to have. And so that is the only thing I can think of that would make any difference in my world building, because just like having that, I feel like perhaps I am a bit better able than most cis people to explore different gender roles in the characters and NPCs I play. That's about it. Otherwise, it's just world building.
This kind of alludes to something that Sarah said previously. I have been very lucky. I say lucky. I have been very particular about the people I surround myself with. So I have not had to deal with very much negativity with coming out as trans. Now, when I came out when I was 16 as bisexual, God help us, that was the tough one. So that I think what it has done, though, is just being as part of the queer community in general for so long, is it has given me, I have had to think about the really dark parts of our world in a way that straight and or cis people don't have to really think too hard about. I mean, if you're if you're an ally or if you're in the community in some way, and like you've got friends, family, of course you do think about it more. Since coming out, the conversations I've been having with the cis people in my life has been, oh my God, you have to think about that, like your physical safety. And I was like, yeah, friend. Like, so I think that having, like, that is always, that is a program running in the back of my head forever, especially with the world being what it is right now. And I think that I use that in my world building to, like, I can do some pretty dark shit, but I also know when to pull back. Like, I can pick and choose and say, like, I don't like this story that I'm doing. We don't need to, like, that cannot exist, because we want this to be hopeful and we want this to be a shining light on the good that the world can be. But maybe we need a villain, and that villain is J.K. Rowling. So fuck that bitch. So but yeah, so I think it's just there are some stories that some other game masters who have sat in a game with them, and they're lovely people, but there can be a little bit of like a Pollyanna vibe of like, oh, the world, sunshine, rainbows, and it's like, yeah, it can be, but maybe like you're not seeing the whole picture. So I think it's helped me see the world in a more complex way and maybe more realistic way.
Yeah,
for good, for better or worse.
For sure. I have a few things that being like friends with and like in like very like welcoming community, trans communities, non-binary, that has changed my world building. I think there was a trend in the mid-aughts, I want to say, about removing bioessentialism from D&D and from role-playing in general, and getting rid of like orcs are bad because they're orcs and all orcs are evil type of thing, and all goblins are evil, and that's something I've tried to carry into a lot of my world building of like, there's no group that is like always essentially this thing. But when I first started to get more friends in the community, one of the things I did, and I tried to find it on Break, is I got one of those dice that has pronouns on it. And when I was making an NPC, I would make everything about the NPC, where they fit in the story, their personality, everything, and then I would roll the dice to help break myself out of those gender stereotypes and like, oh, there's a big barbarian that's coming to help, obviously that's going to be a guy, and oh, there's someone who needs to be rescued, obviously that's going to be a woman. That was super helpful. And more recently, and some of my world building, I've done more exploration on like different genders and gender expressions at like a race level, right? Of like, to a goblin, for example, does it make sense for it to be like male and female, or should there be more complexity, less complexity? Is there just one gender for all goblins, or is there a queen goblin that is the only like person of that gender that makes all of the goblin babies, and they're like drones, right? They like trying to get into some of that complexity with my world building is something I've been having a lot of fun with over the past few years, and absolutely would not and could not do it without the community that I have. Enough of me talking, though. Over.
We want this cis white man to talk more.
I'm obsessed with Bastion's comparison of goblins to bees. I think we should put a pin on that and have that at a later date.
Yeah, we'll circle back to bee goblins. Yeah.
Yikes.
So we talked at length at this point about sort of accidental discoveries of like, I made a character that was of a different gender and I felt really comfortable. I felt euphoric. I felt these things. Have y'all used roleplay as an intentional tool for discovery and used it as a way to express yourself in ways you didn't feel like you could in real life, or to like reclaim certain parts of your identity through this lens, and just a more intentional exploration?
I think with my more female-leaning more femme-leaning characters, I think that has been more of a reclamation of like who I was like years ago and how I identified back then, and like sort of like paying homage to the person who I was at that point through different characters, because like I put a little bit of myself into every character that I play, just to like give myself like that slight entryway into role playing them a little bit easier. Mm-hmm. And like my like more mask leaning characters, like I've kind of been like using that like to like mix and match. Like in the live stream I did with David last year, Petrick Vimir Oresis, my warlock that unfortunately got and burnt to shreds at the end of that, was like definitely more like flamboyant, definitely more like very outward presenting, whereas like Elliot was a lot more like internal and like dealing with it more at like a personal level. So like it's definitely, I love using like characters that I play in TTRPGs to like play jump rope with like how I'm feeling, like where I am, and like basically being like, okay, well, like what aspect of myself do I want to like zero in on, focus in, and do a little like psychoanalysis on, and like go from there, learn more about myself, and like a little bit more about my like like personality traits, like actions, and like all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The answer. I'm struggling with this because the answer is yes. I do use TTRPGs intentionally as a tool for exploration. But I'm struggling to find examples, not because there is too little, but because there's such a dearth of examples. Because it's like it's all I do. Like everything. If I'm running a game, I'm running it because I want to explore something. I'm exploring a lot of things with Hallie's children. I explored a fair amount of things with Lantern Cove, but it's just creating characters, especially NPCs for me, really lets you connect with ideas and identities that you're not used to and helps you grow. And the amount of things that I have learned from being a black cat or a silly guy or a superhero or something like that is incalculable, because it's always an exploration. So that's my vague answer.
Yeah, no. I'm on the same page. I think the only I think my big difference is that I don't purposefully do it. My brain is much faster than my subconscious is much faster than my aware brain, because I'll make a character and I'll be playing something and I'll be like, oh, that's why that character is in my head. Oh, there it is. That's the thing I'm processing right now. And it's not usually about something as direct as like my gender or something like that. It's always some emotion. It's always something that I'm needing to process. So again, it's been mentioned, shout out to Lantern Cove. Olive was me processing high school, was processing a really rough time in my life and processing some really hard feelings that I really struggled with and still do in some cases with that. So playing that character playing Olive, my sweet girl, was like, that was a little bit of closure for that. Or like most recently in Challenger, playing Dionysus, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna play the god Dionysus. Like, he's gonna be silly and kind of a fuckboy and like all this stuff. And then I got into Dionysus's skin and he was like, no, my friend, I am real fucking mad. And I was like, oh good, great, cool. So there's like, it's really interesting what my subconscious will push forward in the guise of what a cool character to play. So yeah, that's kind of where I am with that.
Yeah. Nice. Lightening it up a little bit here. What game systems do y'all feel lend themselves more or less to these types of explorations or stories?
Listen, any system works if you try hard enough.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
If you're not a coward, any system really works.
Yeah.
I will say, I gotta give flowers to David and Lux for being such really great horror GMs, and I always have felt like there's been a deep kinship between the queer community and horror, and specifically it's really easy to kind of just like slip in to like identities and like leaning into that horror genre, which is why like I have felt like really easy with experimenting my identities through like Call of Cthulhu and through David and Lex's like system that Eli and I tested back in March. Like it's really easy that way, but at the same time, like any system really, like River can go on a tangent that werewolf is basically just a huge trans allegory, and it is, and like Vampire the Masquerade can also be like the exact same way. It's just there's so many different avenues and like ways you can take it. It just depends on like, I guess what I'm going at is in this like spiral of word vomit. It's like whatever venue you really want to take it, like you got like there's a good TTRPG system for it.
I gotta go, Bastion. Fuck you. Sorry, Sarah. Go.
I think.
God damn it, Bastion.
Nice. I love it. I love it. I think that the game system, as has been said, is not that important. However, systems do have an effect on play. And a system that is more focused on character development than on, say, combat or investigation or whatever, is going to give you potentially, because obviously you can do this with any system, but you're going to be more likely to lean into that with a system that encourages it. And so with that, I would say that a less crunchy system that allows you to focus a little, directs you to focus a little more on character development is probably going to be a little better for that. But you can use anything.
Yeah. My knee jerk is like, if I have to say what system would I want to avoid to like, if that's the point of it, would be Dungeons and Dragons. And it's not that, because plenty of people have used it. Plenty of people are like, I played a sexy elf lady for the first time and it opened my eyes, and I'm like, that's great. But like there are whole like stereotypical jokes about what class you are, about like, oh, so if you're this, you act like this. So I think historically D&D would be the one I'd be like, I mean, if you want to like really explore character, but then also there are so many people, and this isn't wrong, but there are so many people who want to play D&D because they want to min-max and they want to do as much damage as possible, and it kind of doesn't matter what's going on in your pants. So who cares? I don't want to explore that. So yeah, I agree. Like having something that's much more RP heavy and much more character design, like creation building based, would be the ones to be looking at.
Yeah. I want to do a video at some point about how game mechanics lead to how we play the games. But that'll be in like a year or two when I find the time to make that video. Because like, to y'all's point, D&D, something like half or 2/3 of the book are combat rules.
Mm-hmm.
So like D&D is very clearly driving you from combat to combat, and you can see how that's played. And any of the like role-playing interactions that happen despite the system, versus something like Monster Hearts that encourages player-to-player interaction, or something like Fate that encourages character growth and world building, right? And the way the books are made, the way the mechanics are, really can affect that.
For sure.
All right, back to a heavier question here. What did you learn about yourself through a character that you couldn't through introspection alone?
I think this is an easy one, so I'll go ahead and answer first. I mean, because it was on camera, and I'm just back to Ida, I am famously bad at connecting to feelings. I intellectualize everything. It's a terrible thing that I'm working on in therapy, and it's not working, guys, because whatever, but it's the thing I have to work on. So the fact that I had such an emotional reaction to something purely based off of like me processing something as Ida was weird, and the fact that I like it affected me so deeply, and I was allowed to. I think the only reason I allowed myself to feel it so deeply is because I wasn't me, because Ida was feeling it, so Ida processed it, and Ida then forced it down my throat and said, "This is for you too, bitch." So I think that is probably the most visceral example that I have. So yeah,
that's a good one.
I think for me, it was like it's building a character, and then like having myself sit down and try to think about like what their lives are like and what their thought processes are like. And I'm gonna pull two characters. I'm going to use Elliot and Virginia both as examples, like having to be Elliot, be a gay man in his late 20s in like the early 20th century, and like figuring out like, okay, like how did he process like his feelings, like his identity, and like grappling with a society that truly like is not built to accept people like him, where he has to hide who he is and out of stealth and out of protection. And like how does he circumnavigate the world based on that? And like more or less like that's kind of how like I've been reckoning with my own identity for the past few months, being as someone who's like socially out in like their social circles, but like still like trying to stealth in situations where I deem necessary, where I have to feel like, if I feel that like I have to present as a woman in order to like navigate my day-to-day life, like at work and everything, like that's just kind of like the reality I feel like I'm like living in. And getting to play someone who has a similar lived experience like that has done a lot of wonders to me, that I have another gay person in my head who has a similar but different lived experience. And yet, on the flip side, with Virginia in Winsboro Mansion, kind of just be like being a woman, like in a world where it's like that's all you'll be seen as, and not as an independent person, as a full-fleshed, like you have your own life. Like she, like eventually, like Winsboro will come back on the web. And everyone will get to see not just the beautiful work that Lux did in A Shoot 4 Hours, but also the array of faces that we've all made through that one shot. But like I did a lot of reckoning with like that, like there's a lot of complexities in Virginia that just reared its head in the short amount of time that I got to play her, and me dealing with the fact that there's a lot of stuff from like when I was identifying as a woman, being like stuck in like heterosexual presenting relationships that I truly have not really processed, and like made like starting to really work on that, being like how that made me feel also as a 21-year-old girl, like having to live in this society and like telling myself like this is right, like this is what it is. So like getting to have all these characters and like dealing with like little parts, and like Eli said, there's some stuff that my characters start to go through that I'm just like, isn't that funny? Isn't that ironic? Aren't we having a good time? Like at my home table with Cam, like my character dealing a lot with like anger issues, and me being like, well, I'm angry at my parents in this campaign, like isn't that funny? Like, ha 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 ha. And then stepping out of that box and like coming back in the real world and being like, oh wait, oh no, like there's just like a lot of like good parallels that I feel like TTRPGs have allowed me to like identify like and like go through like the tools that I've like developed in therapy, being like identifying feelings and like thinking or truly reflecting on how they shape me, not just as a trans non-binary person, but just as a person in general. So
Yeah. Something I like to say is that people are made of stories. Humans are made of cells. People are made of stories. Our memories are a type of story. Our opinions are a type of story. And that makes stories the most powerful thing in our lives in a way. You'll find that if you look back on it, most of the changes in the world come from a story of some sort. And so the stories that we take in as ours, as our identity, they can sort of hold on to us. They can grab us and sort of confine us. And that's normal. And when we step out of those stories and into the story of another, we are able to see the world in a different way. We are able to, most importantly, see the world in a way that is not restrained by the stories we normally live in. And we can get points of view that we would never get. And it's all from just these stories that we make up. And I find that just immensely powerful. So that's where I'm at with that. I don't have an example, but stories, man.
Stories. Yeah. Speaking of internalizing stories and taking it back to Mags earlier when they said that they play small anxious men or large strong women, are there archetypes or stories that you find yourselves drawn to and like coming back to repeatedly?
When I am a player, I really enjoy, shout out to Mavic, I really enjoy the monstrous just trying to be better.
Yeah.
I won't examine that too closely, but yeah, that's a thing that I find myself trying to process quite often. I find that story awesome.
And Mavic's an awesome character. Go watch Eli and I
and Sarah
all struggle through Strahd.
I watched David struggle through Strahd.
Yeah.
Love you, David.
Some of my favorite characters, absolute favorite characters that we've had on the channel, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got to murder Bastion, so that was wild.
Yeah.
Dream come true.
So good.
Jesus Christ.
Mags,
So good.
what do you think?
So many people have thought of it, but you actually did it.
Like I said, like I either like play like really.
Uh-oh.
They can't.
They can't explain
Sarah,
themselves.
While they reload. Oh, they came back. Hold on.
Oh.
Oh no, what happened?
What's going on?
There we go.
Okay.
Too many people pushing buttons, I think is what happened there.
I don't know what it is about StreamYard and hating people who play the Saint. It's honestly a problem.
Yeah, it's true.
But I think like I either play like physically or emotionally like tough women, or like anxious men, like more like effeminate men. I want to start diving more into like more like gender neutral, gender fluid characters and seeing like what kind of avenues I go with that. Because like for me, like I love like playing like any sort of type of like female character. Like I haven't really done it mostly on stream, and I'm like trying to like, really get to do that a little bit more because I feel like I want to like diversify my character range. But like playing more like it's not.
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
Curse you, internet.
Is it doing it again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
God fucking damn it.
We've only got 10
Son of a
minutes
bitch.
left. Get your
The
Wi-Fi
internet.
to work for 10 more minutes.
I'm trying.
Chill
My
out, New
Wi-Fi really
Jersey.
hates StreamYard.
To be fair. Sarah, any stereotypes that you find for yourself?
No. I think that I tend to, once I've played a stereotype, I'm done. I'm ready for a new question to ask.
That feels healthy, actually.
Yeah, that does feel healthy.
That's so healthy. What the fuck?
I wish to see the world the way Sarah sees the world. That's what we're learning.
Yeah.
All right, I have one last hard-hitting question here for y'all. Have you had a moment where role-playing challenged or disrupted your understanding of who you are, and how did you deal with that discomfort? So we talked a lot about like the euphoria of experiencing like role-playing as the like gender you identify with, but what about the less pleasant parts?
I'm gonna say I'm really lucky. I don't think I've had an experience like that. I think for the most part, I've been able to incorporate like little bits and pieces of my own journey into each of the characters that I've played, and that, and in that way, like allowing like a little bit of character bleed has given me like a very like deep bond with who I play. Like I think with the slight exception of the same, like I've been able to like drop bits and pieces of myself into every single person I've played, and it's just made it like so like effortless and easy to like get in the zone and be who I am for like 2 to 3 hours at a time.
Sarah, any examples you can think of?
Still thinking.
I have something which it's less about playing characters, it's more the GM side, which is when you have to play all the bad guys. There have been times when I've done something, when I've played something as a villain that I'm not super thrilled that I had that in me to do. There are some characters in the deep Streaming Rainbow lore. Most of us met because of a home game called London Calling, which is an Unsleeping City campaign that I GM, where I met a lot of lovely people that have made me meet all of you guys. So, there are some really dark parts of that, so because it's more of a gritty urban kind of thing, and I've had to play some really manipulative, really like psychologically damaging characters that I think about and I go, is like I no one can be that good of an actor, so something must be wrong with me. So being a game master has sometimes shown a light on ugly parts of myself that I know are buried in there that I do my best not to unleash, but I still know they're there. So I think I try to say, at least I wake up every day choosing to be a good person, but yeah, I don't like that it's in there.
I mean, right now I just want to be telling Eli that it's okay. But
It's okay.
Rationally, I know that, but it's like,
the one thing that I can think of where I've felt that kind of, I mean, beyond all games challenge me, but in particular, where is just playing boys, because that is like I gave up masculinity. You know, it's not mine anymore.
Mhm.
So when I play a guy, there's always this like discomfort, like I'm in a role that I don't belong in, that I don't have any right to, it feels like. And it's easier as a game master, because you're just representing the world, and that makes it easy to justify. But actually playing a character of that type is one that challenges me and makes me try to. It's helped me to explore my understanding of men, and challenge some of my own prejudices about men. So,
Yeah. All right, we'll wrap it up with a silly one.
yeah.
If you were to take your gender journey and make it a campaign arc, what would it be titled? It's a tricky one. I'll give you time to think if you need it.
Tricky one.
welcome to Gillyton. No. It probably denial. I think that's just a solid, not
strong
malicious
name.
denial, just denial. Gotta love coming into realizations at the young spry age of 38.
I think I just call mine growing up, because it feels like a continuing state of growth.
The only thing that comes to mind for me is like tides and currents, because like I feel as like I keep like thinking on my gender, my sexuality and everything, like it ebbs and flows. And like sometimes it feels like more natural, like incoming tides and outgoing tides, and then sometimes it just grabs me by the fucking throat and like just shifts me through something. And it's just we're still on a journey, and it just depends on where the water's taking us.
So Mags would be a pirate campaign.
Yeah.
What would the theme be? Like, that's the thing. The title is whatever, but what would be happening in it?
Ooh, shit. No,
Pirates.
Pirates.
Yeah, pirates.
Tides and currents.
Chasing after that booty. Oh,
There you go.
Ooh.
trying to get ass.
The system would be thirsty sword lesbians, or
Correct. The only one that makes sense.
Yeah.
Of course. All right. Thank you all so very much for being a part of this panel and for letting me explore this experience that I don't have through y'all's lens. It has been incredible, as always, talking with y'all and getting y'all's perspectives, and the way you all see the world is incredible. Absolutely. Well,
Love it.
anyone who is watching, please do get in the Discord. We have a lovely little corner of the internet. It's like a big old couch that all of us can fit on and hang out together. It's also where we put our casting calls and similar initially. So if you have an interest in being in one of our streams or one of our shows, definitely want to hop in there to get the first notifications when we're looking for players.
Absolutely.
Mythos of War is coming out on Tuesday. Go watch it. See Mags and I attempt to survive, and it's going to be a good time. I think that's we have another Pride stream in 2 weeks.
We've got another Pride specific stream in 2 weeks with our guest GM M, who, if you all don't remember, because it's been a whole year, was part of my live stream, my Pride stream last year, helping himbos. They were one of my wonderful himbos, and they have agreed to come and play Never Sell Out, which is using the Big A Do Crimes game system, which I am so excited to see, following a queer punk rock band who just wants to get their masters back. Like, that's all it is, and shenanigans ensue. Inferno will still be happening, so next Friday, come back for the second to last session of Kanto 2, where they're stuck in a labyrinth, guys. It's real fun, but it's going to just be a little bit extra gay. So check out that donation link to see what cool rewards you can give to our lost souls, whether it be a magical pew pew for Blackwell because he asked for it, or hey, listen, it's a lot of money, but for $100 you can give hope to one of our lost souls in hell, which they're gonna need it. It's bad, guys. It's bad down there. So we'll have our two final sessions. What?
Or for $30, you can really inconvenience someone and make them roll on the wild magic table.
That's true. For even less than that, you can just make encounters happen.
That too.
And we are having every donation enters you into a raffle, which is amazing. We are partnering with Evil Hat. I never get their whole name right. Sarah, what's their full name? Evil Hat.
It's just Evil Hat Games.
It's just Evil Hat Games.
Yeah. Evil Hat Games is partnering with us to help support Trans LifeLine, hugely important to a big part of the community here. So every donation enters you for a chance to win a physical copy of Thirsty Sword Lesbians or Girl by Moonlight. If you donate anonymously, unfortunately, you will not be entered in because we will have no way of contacting you. So if you want to be in the raffle, make sure you donate with some kind of name so we can get in touch. And the winners will be drawn and announced on the last Pride stream. So I believe that's the 27th of June, last Friday in June. We will do it after the break, and you guys will all find out what you're getting. Unfortunately, for any of our viewers who are not in the U.S., you guys can't win. I'm so sorry. Who knows? Shipping, tariffs, it's all bad. So
sorry, Taya.
Or Courtney. Sorry, Courtney.
Or Courtney. Sorry, Courtney.
So anyway, please join us all this month. There are pre-stream incentives for M's game right now. There are 2 that are one only. So once it's gone, it's gone. For $50, you could name the band. And for $50, you can tell us what city the game is taking place in, which is so fun. There are obviously ones that are a little bit less expensive that are helping out determine information about the players. So again, join the Discord, but also join that donation link, and you can see what rewards are available to you. And just, on behalf of all of us, but me in particular, thank you very much for supporting Trans LifeLine. It is literally keeping people alive. So whatever we can do to help our community is something I will be yelling from the rooftops about. So thank you guys.
Yeah, and anything that you would like to shout out, Mags?
I mean, just getting to be a part of this table tonight has really it's been a good experience, and just being a part of Streaming Rainbow in general has been so affirming, and getting to surround myself with more queer people who have shaped and changed my identity in just the small amount of time that I've gotten to know them. So just getting to be here as always, it's such a delight, and I love getting to create with you guys in whatever space. You can find me anywhere on socials at Magneto795. I almost said it. Oh, Gabby's husband says it, and it annoys me every time. And yeah, I've got a like backlog of shit on Streaming Rainbow. If you want to see more of my face, SS Sophia. There's a few one shots. There's no shortage of me. So, and I'm not going anywhere.
And more to come on Tuesday.
And more to
Myth is a
come.
word.
See you next week.
Also, thank you, Bastion, for being such a wonderful MC.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
It was great job.
Mhm.
Thank you.
There we go.
Thanks.
Y'all make it easy.
Love you
All
guys.
right. Get in the Discord.
Get
We
in
will
the
see
fucking
y'all
Discord.
next Tuesday.
See you next Tuesday.
Bye.
Love y'all. Bye.
Goodbye.